I grew up in a little town called Magazine, Arkansas, and I started playing bluegrass music with my family. We had a little family bluegrass band, and my dad plays everything, and my sister's a fiddle player, and my mom was actually a pianist when she met my dad, and they got married at 19, and he started teaching her how to play bluegrass instruments, upright bass and guitar. From about the age 7 till I guess I was in high school, we had a little family bluegrass band, and we traveled around and played festivals and churches, and I met Dean, I guess, when I was in college, and we had this mutual group of friends that would go camping, and Dean had brought a guitar out to the camp out one night, and somehow we got hung up on Alison Krauss songs because I'm a big Alison Krauss fan, and we just connected. We played Alison Krauss and Beatles pretty much the whole night. Everyone had kind of left the campfire and gone and done their own thing, and we were still there hours later playing music. And I knew from that moment that, you know, we had something special musically. It was just fun. We just enjoyed it together.
I come from a family that's got a lot of doctors and stuff and people in the medical field. I picked up the guitar when I was 15 I was like 14, and this family friend named Steve Smith taught me some chords on the guitar at church a couple of years earlier, and finally my brother and I got into it and started practicing every day. I played piano when I was a kid and a little bit of trumpet in the school band as well. But guitar really just caught all my attention and my passion. And so I played by myself a lot in my room, and started a little rock band when I was in high school with some buddies and my brother, and played through college, and then started writing songs when I was in college. And then I think it was my last year of college when we met.
I just have to brag on him. He picked up dobro probably a month before we actually started playing in this band together, and just kind of went with it. He's the guy that can pick it up and learn it in about a day or two. And it was this little guitar his dad had built, and he had just raised the nut on it to make it like a dobro. And Dean grabbed a bunch of my dad's old bluegrass records of Jerry Douglas and with Josh Graves and some of those people.
Yeah, that helped a lot. I put them all onto CDs.
Yeah, and that's how he taught himself to play dobro that way. So it's kind of a cool story.
I don't wanna clip your wings. I don't wanna try to make you stay. Oh, I just wanna hear you sing. Yeah, I just wanna hear you sing. La, 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 la.
One of my probably biggest musical heroes is Alison Krauss. I grew up listening to, Flatt and Scruggs. Tony Rice was a big guitar influence for me. Adam Steffi and Sam Bush are big mandolin influences. Alison Brown and Ron Block are banjo influences. But we listened to a lot of George Strait and Reba and Dolly Parton and the Judds. A lot of that stuff was playing in our house.
I grew up with a real eclectic background of music, everything from blues to rock to classical to pop and bluegrass and stuff like that too. On the dobro, Jerry Douglas was my main hero, the guy that I really studied to learn, because he's so amazing at pulling emotion out of an instrument. And then on the guitar side of things, Eric Clapton is a huge idol of mine, and I really love the songwriting of Bob Dylan and then Johnny Cash, just as an icon and a star, and somebody who stood for something, but he was also he wasn't afraid to get poetic with his lyrics, but he also had his country roots that he was really always showing that. This one show we got at Wild River Country, which is a water park outside of Little Rock, Arkansas. And so we're set up at the wave pool on the deck in front of the wave pool. And so there's a sea of people out there just floating around in their inner tubes and stuff. And they turn off the wave pool, and we would go out and sing for 30 minutes or something like that. And then they would turn the wave pool back on.
And it's like 110 degrees.
Yeah, it was super hot, and we're on a concrete deck. They shut off the wave pool, and about halfway through our first song, this guy starts yelling, "Tidal wave! Tidal wave!" And this was this gentleman who was at the park every single day of the summer. And he really loved the wave pool. But throughout our entire set, he shouted "tidal wave" until they would turn the wave pool back on. And then he would be happy. And then about halfway through the first song in our next set, he would start yelling again.
We found ourselves in a cafeteria at lunchtime with people trying to study and do stuff. And at one point, there was one microphone that we were all trying to share. It wasn't even like a condenser mic. It was like a vocal mic that we were all three singing into and playing into. People were like annoyed that we were, playing because they're trying to study for their exams. And anyway, it wasn't like it was a terrible experience.
It was pretty much the worst place we ever played.
Pretty terrible.
It was pretty bad.
Kai Fleming is an amazing songwriter in Nashville. She's written stuff like Smoky Mountain Rain, a bunch of the Barbara Mandrell songs.
Sleeping Single on a Double Bed.
Country
Give Me Wings.
Country when Country wasn't cool. She's just an amazing songwriter. She heard of us. So Steve Smith is this guy that we all know from Arkansas, and he introduced us to each other, and we started playing together, and he was kind of entering his songs into these songwriting competitions, which were our recordings of the songs. And Kai was a judge in this NSAI songwriting competition, and she heard the songs and really liked the sound, liked the band behind the music, and reached out to Steve, and we ended up coming to Nashville to meet with her and kind of move forward with a working relationship of kind of developing us as songwriters. And she just said, if you really want to do this, you've got to be in Nashville. So over the course of the next year and a half, we ended up in Nashville writing, and we didn't play out like a lot of people do. We kind of stayed in and just wrote, and we'd do little house shows and invite our friends over and test out the songs that we were so proud of.
Kai, in 2010, was it? 2009, got inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in Nashville. At that point, we had been working with her for a year and a half or 2 years. And so she invited us to play a medley of her songs at the award ceremony where she was being inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And so we got up on the stage and played that little set. It was like a 6-minute medley. And right after the award show, we were standing there, and this lady from Big Machine Records came up and asked us to meet. And so we met with them the next day and got our record deal after that opportunity at the...
So we signed our record deal in March of 2010, released our first single in the next year, about March of 2011, and it went top 20, which was amazing. And then ended up with a second single out the next year, and so it was a really fun couple of years.
Yeah. Went on tour with Rascal Flatts, Brad Paisley, Reba, Lady Antebellum, and of course, as you can tell, we're a different group than we used to be. Our singer Hannah left the band earlier this year, but we are moving on together, and we've been writing a lot of music and kind of figuring out the next phase of things. One thing that's been awesome for us is having great instruments like these McPherson, guitars and stuff, and they gave them to us last year to play on the road on the Rascal Flatts tour, and it's an incredible relief when you're up on the stage in front of that many people to know that your instrument is always going to play perfectly, is always going to sound perfect and play in tune. With these guitars, no matter if it's 30 degrees outside or 105, it's going to be in tune, and it's going to stay in tune. There's nothing like them, and just the sound of them is incredible. I mean, whether it's in the studio or playing live, they just shine, and they sit perfectly in a track.
We've done little work tapes with them before and had people say, "What guitar are you playing on that?" And it's into an iPhone, and they're just like, "That sounds amazing." And it's one of the McPhersons we have at the house. Personally, I'm really excited about the McPherson mandolins that are in the works. This is the 4th prototype, and I'm honored to get to come up and try it out and just give my humble opinion about it. But it's amazing. I'm loving it already, and I'm excited to see what other ones come out of the line that's coming. But this is number 4, and it's beauty, isn't it? 1, 2, 3.